It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.
Hello there, South Mississippi, and thank you for waking up with Wesley. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. So it's a cold start to the day, right? If you've stepped out the door this morning or if you're just getting out of bed this morning, it's definitely not what we're used to down here on the Gulf Coast. We're freezing. We had temperatures in the 30s and 20s. There's a look at the sunrise from earlier today. It was beautiful, and the time lapse rolling into the 8 o'clock hour shows that we have mostly sunny sky. There are a few thin clouds coming in from the north. They're not going to be thick enough to blot out the sun today, but they'll just add a little decoration to the sky. So let's take a look at what the temperatures have done over the last several hours. Again, current time 8:48, so we got our current box over on the right. And the current temperatures are in the middle and upper 30s. So we can see 37 reported in Gulfport currently, 38 reported in Biloxi currently, at Keesler at least, and 36 reported currently in Moss Point, Pascagoula. That's in Escatawpa technically at the airport, but either way, we're all above freezing at this moment in time. It was not that way earlier this morning, right? We were freezing for multiple hours in Gulfport. We were freezing for a short little while at Keesler and Biloxi. And we were super freezing over in eastern Jackson County, where temperatures fell into the middle 20s earlier this morning. Fortunately, the risk of freezing temperatures is pulling away as we go through the rest of Tuesday morning. We're done, and there might not be a return to freezing for quite some time. If you stick around to the end of this video, we'll actually do a little Tuesday trivia for you and talk about when we tend to see our final freeze of the season. Are we done? Is this it? Well, here's a look at the last 6 mornings as far as a low temperature is concerned. And this morning was actually the first time that we had freezing temperatures in Gulfport at the airport over the last week or so. Now, yesterday morning we did drop down to 35 at the airport, but this morning 28 was apparently the low that was hit at 4:53 a.m. according to the weather station at the Gulfport airport. Easily, this was the coldest morning of the last week or so. And you can look at some of the rest of the low temperatures on the map there, seeing many areas in coastal Mississippi into the freezer. It looks like we all froze at some point, even though some places like Biloxi only froze for an hour and other places froze for multiple hours at a time. And you can see basically on the whole map, we actually had some of the coldest temperatures in Jackson County, 25, compared to Meridian's 25 for a low as well. So a couple of the cold spots, and one of them right here in one of our coastal counties. So here's a look at what to expect for the rest of the day. We're seeing temperatures rising into the upper 50s and lower 60s this afternoon, which is about as like it was yesterday afternoon. Might be a few degrees up from yesterday afternoon, since technically we are going to begin to see a wind from the south, from the Gulf, and that will eventually help some of the temperatures to warm eventually. Now, I will say, if you're right by the beachfront areas, that wind from the Gulf is going to do a number on the beach temperature, and it's going to be a cool beach day today. It will be a rather chilly beach day. So if you typically go for a walk on the beach or something like that, you will want to make sure that you are dressed warmly for that, because with that wind off the cooler water in the afternoon, the beach will be the coolest spot to be in the afternoon. And if you want to find a less chilly afternoon, you probably should go somewhere away from the water, where we will find more comfortably mild conditions. So the warming trend is coming soon. This is actually it as far as chilly days are concerned. Once we get past today, it's going to be warm as we go into the next 7 to 10 days. And eventually this will bring us a rain chance. Here's the map. No rain right now. Dry high pressure overhead. And with that high pressure literally directly on top of us, that's one of the reasons why our temperatures plummeted last night and fell very rapidly. You can actually see no rain on first alert radar and a few clouds on satellite. And we saw the time lapse, those clouds coming in from the north. They're not thick clouds, but they're thin cirrus clouds that are kind of higher up in the atmosphere. Sometimes when these cirrus clouds pass in front of the sun, you can actually get a little weather phenomenon. I wonder if we're going to see that today, called a sundog, which is basically you get this little bright rainbow spot that appears to the side of the sun. You can also sometimes get a ring around the sun, like a halo effect around the sun. And there's actually common folklore around that. Ring around the moon means rain soon. And the same phenomena that causes a ring to appear around the moon is the exact same one that causes a ring to appear around the sun. It's just those cirrus clouds, which are high up in the Earth's atmosphere. They're not made of water droplets. They're made of ice crystals. And when that sunlight or moonlight passes through those cirrus clouds, the ice crystals reflect and refract that light, and you get this phenomenon where a ring appears around the sun or the moon, and sometimes around to the side of the sun you can get this little bitty tiny bright rainbow-ish thing that is called a sundog. So keep an eye out for that today. Don't look directly at the sun, but if you're looking somewhere in the sky near the sun while a cirrus cloud is passing in front of the sun, you might see that. And I'm sure a lot of times whenever we do see that, we always tend to get a lot of pictures sent in. So it would not surprise me if someone sees that. You're probably going to send a picture of it to the First Alert Weather app. There's today's forecast looking at upper 50s, lower 60s, but I do want to talk about those rain chances, right? I just mentioned ring around the moon means rain soon. And like I said, that's what they say in folklore, but the science to that folklore is that typically before a rain system gets here, you know, a rain system is made of rain clouds, but before the rain clouds arrive, sometimes you get cirrus clouds before the rain clouds, and that's kind of what we're dealing with today. So we're getting some of those cirrus clouds, which causes the ring around the sun and gets the folklore going. And in a few days, yeah, there might be some truth to that folklore, since we are looking at dry weather today and tomorrow, some isolated showers on Thursday, and then better rain chances Thursday night into Friday. So you can see that in the 3-day forecast, those rain chances staying at 0% for Tuesday, near 0% for Wednesday, and then 30% for Thursday, all the while the temperature is going up. Biloxi at 57 for a high today, 75, flip it around, 75 for a high on Thursday. Wiggins 61 for a high today, almost 80 for a high on Thursday. So that's, you know, that's that warm up on the way. Here's Thursday's futurecast. 30% chance for rain. I'm seeing a lot of rain-free hours, folks. I don't think we're dealing with a very wet day on Thursday. Now, Thursday night, after midnight, we're going to be watching off to our west because there's going to be a line of showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder with this. It's a cool front that's going to be moving in from the west, kind of crudely drawn by me there, but either way, a cool front is coming in, so I'll move the cool front. It's going to be coming in from the west like this, and ahead of it, it's kicking up this line of showers, a few downpours possible. So we'll watch for those to come in, but look at the time. It's midnight, right? They're not here yet. So it's probably going to be an after midnight thing when we watch all of these showers try to move in. Obviously, the most continuous showers are up here, Meridian, Starkville, and they're kind of broken apart down here, Natchez, Baton Rouge. So we might not get the bulk of it, but it is a chance. Up to an inch of rain is what we're expecting. That's not enough, because look at the month so far. We barely have seen an inch of rain. When you add them all up, we have just under an inch of rain. We're supposed to have 3.5. So that is a deficit of more than 2.5 inches. And it's not just in Gulfport, Biloxi, but it's everywhere. We're dealing with that rain deficit. Most of us have less than 25% of our normal month rain. So, you know, no wonder with those drought conditions, we've been seeing wildfire issues lately. All right, last part of the video, which gets us to our trivia question. While it is still cool today, a warming trend is on the way. We just showed you the beginnings of that warming trend tomorrow, and that continues with above normal temperatures. Look at that, right through the end of February, right through the beginning of March, temperatures staying above normal the whole time. So is this our last cool down? It might have you wondering, right? What if we just stay up and we never come down again? So that's our trivia question. Which month most often brings South Mississippi's final freeze of the season? Is it January, February, March, or April? I'll give you a few moments to lock in your answer. And it's probably what you might expect. Remember, a lot of times, again, back to folklore, you always hear there's always one last freeze before Easter, right? So I think January is probably too early. If you guess that, you're probably not going to be right. So you might have to be a little later than January. All right, we're going to do the reveal. So the answer is technically February. Now, it's actually very close to March, but both February and March typically are when we see the final freeze of the season. So you can look at the frequency. I looked at every last year on record, which go back to the 1890s. Now, some of the years had to be omitted because there was no freeze data. We didn't get a freeze some years. More than 20 years, there was no freeze. So we had to get rid of some of the years. That's why the numbers here won't completely add up to 2026 minus 1893, whatever that is. But we had to omit some of them. But there's a look at the frequency. And February is pretty close to March. They both have a considerable amount of those final freezes of the season. February, 52 of our final freezes of the season have occurred in February. 40 of our final freezes of the season have occurred in March. None have occurred in April. We've never recorded a freezing temperature in Gulfport, Biloxi in April. So that gives you some perspective. Now, as far as other areas, this is a look at how late it can go. It's close for Gulfport, Biloxi. The final freeze of the season ever recorded is March 31st, so it's only one day away from April. Everywhere else in South Mississippi, there's a freeze on record for April. So if you're one of those folks who are itching to get planting, itching to get the garden started, just understand that history shows us we're probably not done yet. And there's a really good chance that at some point in March, we're probably going to see at least one more freeze before we get to the end of the freezing season in South Mississippi. Now, as far as forecasting goes, we can't see any more in the next 7 to 10 days. None of us get a freeze in the next 7 to 10 days. But what if we go to 20 days? What if we go to 30 days? What if we go to 40 days? We can't forecast that far out, but I just want to give you that heads up that looking at the historical weather data, we're probably going to see another freeze into the month of March. So just keep that in mind for any planting plans. Well, that'll do it for today's Waking Up with Wesley. I've been a senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams. And of course, as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you for watching Waking Up with Wesley with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.